Commander Valera of the Xylosian Imperial Fleet had conquered 12 worlds. She had led her legions through plasma storms, orbital bombardments, and ground assaults that reduced entire cities to ash. She had never lost a battle. She had never even come close. The Xylosians were the apex predators of this spiral arm. Standing 8 feet tall, covered in natural chitinous armor that could deflect low-caliber projectiles, with 4 powerful arms each capable of snapping steel, they were living weapons. Their military doctrine was simple: intimidate, overwhelm, annihilate. It had worked for 3,000 years. So when Valera's scout ships detected a new species on the fringe of explored space, she did not expect a challenge. The species was called human. They were small, soft, and absurdly fragile. Their homeworld, Earth, had barely achieved faster-than-light travel. Their military records, gleaned from intercepted data transmissions, showed a history of fighting each other with primitive projectile weapons and explosives. They had no personal energy shields, no chitinous armor, no natural weapons beyond soft, easily broken hands. Pathetic, Valera thought. Another world to add to the collection. She led the invasion fleet personally. 12 warships, 30,000 troops, overwhelming force. Standard protocol demanded a show of power so absolute that resistance would be unthinkable. The human colony on the planet they called New Hope would surrender within hours, and the rest of their species would follow. That was the plan. That was before she saw the human warrior. The invasion began at dawn local time. Valera watched from the bridge of her flagship as drop pods rained down on the human settlement, each one disgorging a squad of elite Xylosian shock troops. The humans had no orbital defenses, no planetary shields, nothing to slow the descent. Within minutes, the first reports came in. Minimal resistance, her tactical officer announced, his 4 arms relaxed, confident. The humans are fleeing into the surrounding terrain. Some are attempting to organize, but they are poorly armed and untrained. Casualties, negligible. Valera nodded, unsurprised. Deploy perimeter scouts. Secure the settlement. I want the human leadership captured within the hour. But the hour passed, and the reports changed. Commander, the tactical officer's voice carried a note of confusion. Our scouts are encountering anomalies. Explain. We have lost contact with 3 perimeter squads. No distress signals, no last transmissions. They simply vanished. Valera frowned, her mandibles clicking softly. Environmental hazards? Local fauna? Unknown. But our long-range scanners detected movement in the triline. Single heat signatures. Human-sized. Then send a reinforced squad to investigate, Valera ordered. I want answers. The reinforced squad was dispatched. 12 elite Xylosian warriors, armed with plasma rifles and personal shields, entered the forest on the edge of the settlement. Their helmet feeds were broadcast to the bridge. For 10 minutes, Valera watched them move through the undergrowth, their massive forms crushing vegetation, their 4 arms sweeping aside branches. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. Then the feeds went dark. All 12, simultaneously. Valera was on her feet. What happened? Massive energy spike, localized to their position. The tactical officer reported, his voice now tinged with something Valera had never heard from him before. Fear. It wasn't human technology. It was biological. Show me. The view screen flickered, and a single image resolved. It was taken from a scout drone that had arrived seconds after the squad's demise. The forest floor was littered with Xylosian bodies, their chitinous armor cracked, their limbs twisted. Standing in the center of the carnage was a single human. But this was no ordinary human. He was tall for his species, perhaps 6 feet, but that was still dwarfed by the Xylosians he had slain. His skin was covered in a fine sheen of sweat, his chest heaved with exertion, and in his hands he held no weapon. His hands were bare. His hands had done this. Valera zoomed in. The human's eyes met the drone's camera, and for a moment, she felt something she had never felt in 3 centuries of conquest. A chill, a primal, instinctive recognition of danger. The human smiled. Then he threw a rock with impossible speed and accuracy, and the drone's feed died. "Explain," Valera demanded, turning to her science officer. "How did one unarmed human kill 12 of our finest warriors?" The science officer's mandibles clicked nervously. "Commander, our initial assessment of human physical capabilities was incomplete. We based our analysis on their own historical records, which emphasized their fragility. But those records also contain references to something we overlooked." "What?" "Adrenaline. Human biology includes a stress response system that temporarily enhances physical performance under extreme duress. Increased strength, speed, pain tolerance. In combat situations, humans can briefly exceed their normal limitations." "Briefly," Valera repeated. 12 of our warriors were killed briefly? There's more." The science officer pulled up additional data. Humans evolved as persistence hunters on their homeworld. They lack natural weapons, so they developed endurance. They can run for hours, days even, outpacing faster prey through sheer stamina. And they are creative. Their combat history shows a pattern of adapting to superior opponents through unconventional tactics. Valera stared at the image of the smiling human frozen on her screen. "You're telling me we underestimated them?" "Severely, Commander. That human in the forest, he's not a soldier. Not by their definition. He's a colonist. A civilian. If their military is more advanced than this." She didn't finish the thought. She didn't need to. Valera made a decision. "Deploy the Hunter Corps. All available units. I want that human found and captured. Alive, if possible. I need to understand what we're facing." The Hunter Corps were Valera's elite. 300 warriors, hand-picked for their ferocity and loyalty, equipped with the most advanced weaponry in the fleet. They descended on the forest like a plague, their heat sensors scanning every inch of terrain, their plasma rifles ready to vaporize any threat. For 6 hours they hunted. For 6 hours, the human evaded them. He moved like a ghost, leaving false trails, doubling back, using the terrain against them. He set traps using fallen trees and vines. He used the sounds of their own movements to mask his attacks, striking from behind, from above, from seemingly impossible angles. One by one, the Hunter Corps fell. Not to superior technology, not to overwhelming force, but to a single, determined human who refused to die. Valera watched it all from the bridge, her 4 hands gripping the armrest of her command chair so tightly that the metal creaked. She had never seen anything like it. This human, this soft, fragile creature, was dismantling her best warriors with nothing but intelligence, endurance, and an apparently bottomless well of ferocity. Finally, as the twin suns of this world began to set, the human emerged from the forest. He walked into the settlement's central square, where a company of Xylosian troops stood waiting, their weapons trained on him. He was covered in wounds, gashes from plasma burns, deep cuts from chitinous claws, bruises that would have killed a normal human. But he was still standing, still moving, still smiling. Valera ordered a ground transport and descended to the surface. She needed to see this creature face to face. When she stepped out of the transport, the human's eyes locked onto her. Even through his exhaustion, even through his pain, there was something in those eyes that made her pause. Not fear, Not hatred. Something else. Something she couldn't name. You're the one in charge, the human said. His voice was rough, strained, but steady. The big boss. The commander. I am Commander Valera of the Xylosian Imperial Fleet, she replied, her translator rendering her clicks and hisses into human speech. You have killed 73 of my warriors. Surrender now, and I will grant you a quick death. The human laughed. It was a broken, bloody sound, but it was genuine. 73? Is that all? I've lost count. He spat blood onto the ground. You Xylosians think you're tough. You've got size, you've got numbers, you've got fancy guns. But you know what you don't have. Valera said nothing. You don't have this. The human tapped his chest, over his heart. You don't have the thing that makes a human get back up when he should stay down. You don't have the thing that makes a father fight for his daughter, even when he knows he's going to die. You don't have the thing that turns a peaceful colonist into a goddamn nightmare. He took a step forward. Every Xylosian weapon in the square tracked his movement. My daughter was in that settlement when you dropped her pods, he continued, his voice dropping to something quieter, more terrible. She was 8 years old. She liked painting pictures of flowers and singing songs she made up herself. She was hiding in the schoolhouse when your troops found her. Valera's mandibles tightened. She knew what happened next. Standard protocol for resistance worlds. Eliminate all potential future threats. It was efficient. It was logical. She didn't fight, the human whispered. She couldn't. She was 8. But your warriors killed her anyway. And when they did, they made a mistake. They left me alive. He took another step. Then another. The Xylosian troops tensed, waiting for the order to fire. Valera raised one hand, halting them. You cannot defeat us, she said. Even if you kill me, even if you kill every warrior on this planet, our fleet will destroy this world from orbit. Your resistance is meaningless. The human smiled again, and this time, Valera understood the expression in his eyes. It wasn't defiance. It wasn't hatred. It was peace. The peace of a man who had already decided he wasn't going to survive, and therefore had nothing left to fear. Maybe, he said, but you know what else is meaningless? Your empire. Your conquests. Your 3,000 years of victory. He was close now, close enough that she could see the individual scars on his face, the lines etched by a hard life on a frontier world. Because when your historians write about this day, they won't write about your fleet or your warriors or your glorious commander. They'll write about me. One human. One pissed off, broken-hearted father who killed 73 of your best with his bare hands. They'll write about how you thought humans couldn't fight. He was standing directly in front of her now, looking up into her alien face. He raised one bloody, broken hand and placed it gently against her chest, over the place where her heart would be if Xylosians had hearts. And they'll write about how you were wrong. Valera looked down at him, at this impossible, infuriating, magnificent creature. In 3 centuries of conquest, she had never encountered anything like him. Her tactical mind calculated the odds of his survival, 0. Her strategic mind calculated the impact of his defiance, negligible. But something else, something she had never acknowledged in all those centuries, stirred within her. Respect. She lowered her hand. Stand down, she ordered her troops. Commander? The tactical officer's voice crackled over her calm. He's a threat. He must be eliminated. Stand down. Valera's voice left no room for argument. The troops lowered their weapons, confusion rippling through their ranks. The human looked up at her, his eyes narrowing. What are you doing? I am doing something I have never done, Valera said quietly. I am reconsidering. She turned to address her troops, her voice carrying across the square. This species, these humans, we have underestimated them. Not their technology, not their weapons, but their spirit. This one human has shown more courage, more resilience, more pure defiance than any opponent I have faced in 3 centuries of war. She looked back at the human. If every human fights like this, we cannot conquer them. We can only exterminate them. And I have realized, standing here, that exterminating a species capable of this would be a waste beyond calculation. She extended one of her 4 hands toward him. I offer you a choice. Not surrender. A choice. Continue this fight and die, taking a few more of us with you. Or accept that your daughter's death was a crime, committed by warriors following orders they did not question, and help me ensure that no other child, human or Xylosian, dies the same way. The human stared at her hand for a long moment. Then he looked up at her face, searching for the trap, the deception. He found none. What are you offering? He asked. A new way, Valera said. I have conquered 12 worlds by force. Perhaps it is time to conquer one by understanding. Your people have something mine lack. Passion. Creativity. The ability to rise beyond your limits when everything says you should fall. I want to learn from that. I want my people to learn from that. The human was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he reached up and clasped her hand. His grip was weak, exhausted, but it was firm. My name is Daniel, he said. Daniel Cole. I am Valera, she replied. And I am honored to meet you, Daniel Cole, the human warrior who taught me what fighting really means. In the years that followed, the invasion of New Hope became something else entirely. Valera returned to her homeworld not with a conquered planet, but with an alliance. Daniel Cole became the first human ambassador to the Xylosian Empire, his legend preceding him wherever he went. The warriors who had survived their encounter with him spoke of his ferocity with a reverence usually reserved for their greatest heroes. And Valera, the conqueror of 12 worlds, found herself learning a new kind of warfare. Not the warfare of overwhelming force, but the warfare of understanding, of bridge building, of finding common ground between species that had nearly destroyed each other. She never forgot the look in Daniel's eyes when he spoke of his daughter. That depth of feeling, that willingness to sacrifice everything for love, remained the most alien and the most beautiful thing she had ever witnessed. It was, she realized, the thing her people had been missing all along. As for Daniel, he found a new purpose. Not in vengeance, but in honoring his daughter's memory by building a future where no parent would have to make the choice he had made. He taught the Xylosians about human art, human music, human love. And in return, they taught him about patience, about strategy, about the long view of history that only a centuries-old species could truly understand. On the first anniversary of their meeting, Valera visited Daniel in his quarters on the Xylosian homeworld. She found him standing at a window, looking out at the alien sky. Do you still think of her? Valera asked softly. Every day, Daniel replied. But it's different now. The pain is still there, but it's quieter. It's joined by other things. Hope, maybe. Purpose. He turned to face her. You know, when I walked out of that forest, I was ready to die. I wanted to die. Dying would have been easier than living with what I'd lost. But you gave me something else. You gave me a reason to keep going. Valera inclined her head. You gave me something as well, Daniel Cole. You showed me that strength is not only in the arm, but in the heart. My people have strong arms. Your people have strong hearts. Together. Together, Daniel finished, we're unstoppable. He smiled, and for the first time since his daughter's death, the smile reached his eyes. Outside the window, a new day was dawning on the Xylosian homeworld. And somewhere, In a dimension beyond this one, an 8-year-old girl who loved painting flowers was smiling too.
The end.